of chilling with Kane, and this video is specifically going to be addressed to Grim Jim. And yeah, Grim Jim has taken a pretty hard stance on the COVID stuff. Well, first let me set things up a little. So James Despero is the author of Inside Gamergate, and he is a writer, tabletop game designer, and I've known him for quite a while, quite a long time. Probably pre Gamergate, but that was such a long time ago. I'm not actually, I can't even remember anymore if I knew him pre-Gamergate, but I'm not really sure if he knows who I am. You know, there's references in the introduction to Inside Gamergate to people that helped him out, and I'm not sure if he realizes specifically who those individuals were. I think, but I'm not completely certain. I'm pretty sure it was one of them, because I was, well, okay. Enough said about that. I won't harp on about that. That's a little unfair, a little too personal for in that regard. But yeah, while I'm moving in the lobby, I wrote some things down. Okay. We're doing it live, because honestly, it would just take way too long to edit a video, and I'm pretty sure I have the settings set so people, the like Spoon Cat here, for example, won't be able to hear me. I'm pretty sure. Otherwise, I'll just sound like a fucking lunatic to these people. But anyway, yeah. So Jim, he's no stranger to controversy for his outspoken defense of freedom of speech and expression, as well as identifying and confronting SJW ideology, or more well known today as woke ideology. He has been mischaracterized as far right and has been unfairly ostracized for reasonable positions. And I've had a great deal of respect for Jim. He fought the good fight, and he fought it hard and fought it well. However, Jim also has a propensity for burning bridges. He has been known to draw a line with contentious issues in which those who disagree with him he would deem unworthy. And while Jim doesn't owe anybody anything just for aligning with him on certain topics, it's bizarre to me that he doesn't show greater benefit of the doubt towards those he must surely know have the best of intentions. And it's bizarre he has such a lack of regard for viewpoint diversity. I mean, obviously, we all have our lines, you know. But I try to keep my tolerance for other viewpoints to be fairly wide, you know, and like on a yearly basis, pretty much, and especially because the world is so interconnected. There's going to be so many different topics that divide people. And say you have like a presidential race, like 35% of people are gung-ho about electing one person, and 30% are in favor of another person, and another 30% kind of don't really care, 5% aren't sure. You know, yeah, you have to kind of give allowances. It's like back when Hillary was a candidate, I was kind of like, you know, back when Hillary was a candidate, it's like she's so obviously corrupt, and I would kind of side-eye people who are like, yeah, I'm all gung-ho about electing Hillary, but at the same time, you kind of have to give a little bit of allowance, and it's like, I would probably side-eye you, but I would still be willing to talk to you. I wouldn't be willing to dismiss you outright. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Once we get 8 people, we'll be ready to rock. So, yeah, I'm gonna have to flick back and forth between my notes. I'm doing it live, whatever. Can't be arsed editing all of this shit. Okay. Okay, here we go. Psycho Blade. Everyone's got a good connection, looks like. Yep. Let's fucking go. Okay, so... yeah. I would say that Jim has sacrificed his moral compass and turned his back on liberal principles and showing a remarkable lack of empathy and understanding towards others. And it's just nearly just about made it impossible to maintain respect towards him. So here's a quote from Inside Gamergate. They're calling... well, here, give me a second. Patience, have a little patience with me, everybody. It's going to be hectic trying to keep all this straight in the middle of a match. It's going to be like playing chess and trying to have an intellectual fucking discussion all at once. Okay, so, quote from Inside Gamergate. They're calling everything and everyone sexist, racist, misogynistic, bigoted, and a host of other damaging buzzwords. They're trying to censor the very creativity they once defended. The self-same creativity that they depend on to make a living. It's a masochistic act of self-destruction, and they're threatening to take a lot of other people down with them. So that's in reference to the games journalists, the SJW activists who are allies of the games journalists, and all of their woke scolding, the constant moral hand-wringing about content in video games. And the point Jim is making is that they're sabotaging the freedom of expression of their own industry. And likewise, in a very similar way, I believe that Jim is... I believe that Jim is sacrificing freedom of speech, his principles on freedom of speech, civil liberties, really for the sake of what amounts to the most marginal of marginal percentages of a chance that he won't catch COVID from others, even though he's already vaccinated. And it's totally unacceptable. I'm going to break it down between rounds. Oh man, maybe I should have played a more relaxed game. I downloaded Death Stranding again, because all you do is walk around in Death Stranding. No, bear with me, everybody. I have loads to say. Bear with me. So, oh fuck! This was a mistake. No, it's fine. It's fine. I could do it. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Fucking. Oh. Yeah. So yeah, what do I mean by Jim sacrificing his liberal principles? So, you know, he's engaging a rhetoric that is remarkably similar to the rhetoric that he's stood in opposition of. Like, for example, on Twitter, after Trudeau announced the Emergency Act, Jim said on Twitter, "I wish our government had taken COVID even half as seriously as Canada did." Just a second. Okay. I wish our government had taken COVID even half as seriously as Canada did. The whole conversation is bonkers. Placing individual freedom, he spelled freedom, free D-U-M-B, freedom, against the life and health, actual freedoms of the many. So he believes health takes precedence over individual liberty. So the Emergency Act in Canada, it gives Trudeau unique powers to restrict public assembly, transport, and as well, it gives them power to demand that bank accounts get frozen. Bank accounts of citizens of Canada, and he gets to demand it without any court order. And I find that extraordinary. That's an extraordinary attack on the civil liberties and freedom of a population. And it's like Jim's reduced it down into this kind of thought-terminating cliche, freedom. Are you people dumb? You want... It's like, Jesus Christ. It reminds me, actually, of like the Atheism Plus crowd. Because back in the day, that crowd and their allies, they would use a lot of like thought-terminating cliches, where their opponents, like the people that were pretty early wise to the problems of woke ideology, their opponents would recognize the importance of debate, free expression, free speech. But the opponents of that broke it down into a thought-terminating cliche of free speech. They would rename free speech, free speech into Jesus Christ, free speech. They would rename free speech into freeze peach, and it was meant as this kind of derivative, dismissive, thought-terminating cliche bullshit. This bullshit to dismiss totally valid concerns. And it's like, what kind of lack of empathy does Jim lack to totally not understand that people's desire for a greater amount of freedom than what they've been getting under mandates? That this is a sincere, totally sincere desire. Son of a bitch. Okay, so I'm into the losers round. So I still have a chance to work my way back up. Okay. So, yeah, the Emergency Act is essentially a ban on anti-government protest. Totally spits in the face of democracy and liberty. Going into the underlying premise, Jim's underlying premise is the health takes precedence. And the premise isn't correct. I mean, we could go into an even if kind of argument of, well, how bad would things have to be for that to be correct? But we don't even have to get into that. We can just go into the underlying premises. So there's all sorts of different studies. There's let's see, from MedRxiv, Cold Spring Harbor Laboratory, in conjunction with Yale. There's a study called Early Assessment of the Clinical Severity of the SARS-CoV-2 Omicron variant in South Africa. It says that replaced other variants in South Africa during November 21, led to a rapid increase in COVID cases. Essentially, let's see. I'm doing too much at once. Okay, so yeah, it's fuck. Maybe this was a mistake because I have very legitimate points to make, and my attention is fucking divided like crazy. Well, I've wasted like 14 minutes. Okay, so their conclusion. Early analysis suggests a reduced risk of hospitalization among infected individuals when compared to non-infected individuals. SGTF infected and SGF non-infected. I'm not exactly sure what that means. But in the same time period, once hospitalized, the risk of severe disease had a reduced risk of severe disease compared to other Delta infected. Some of this reduction is likely a result of high population immunity. Okay, so I bumbled that. I bumbled that a lot. But basically, that study is concluding that the reason South Africa isn't having so many deaths, and the reason South Africa has handled Omicron so well, is because of a high amount of population immunity. So, wait. There are other studies I need to make way through here. See, this was a bad idea. There's so much shit. There's so much shit I want to say. Okay, hang on. I can't concentrate. Spoon cut. I can't concentrate. Hang on. Whatever. I don't fucking care. I'm not gonna make some fucking bullshit edited video that takes about 50 minutes. Let me take longer than 50 minutes to say what I need to say. Okay, hang on. Spoon cut. Fuck you, spoon cut. Oh, he fucking reversed my throw, this son of a bitch. It's no good. I can't concentrate in this game. What happens to the broadcast if I try to switch games? It was a mistake to turn on Tekken. Let's see. GG. Okay. Sorry for bumbling things. I'm bumbling like crazy. Okay, so, yeah, there was other studies here. I have all sorts of studies here to go through. Okay. So there's another one called Infection Fatality Rate of COVID-19 in Community Dwelling Populations with emphasis on the elderly. An overview. And what that study was doing was looking at various different countries for infection fatality rates and giving estimates of people who were dying from COVID infections across various countries, across low-income countries, medium-income countries, high-income countries, and in particular, we're interested in looking at age groups 70, 65, 60. So yeah, okay. So let's have a look at some of these stats. So as we know, the older you get, the more vulnerable you are to COVID. So 60 plus, 70 plus, in particular, more at risk. So this study says, in 14 countries, IFRs, infection fatality rates in community dwelling elderly had a median of 2.4%, range 0.3% to 7.2%. For two middle income countries, the infection fatality rate was 0.3% versus 2.8%, range 1.3% to 7.2% in 12 high-income countries. And then figure 1 also shows 95% CIs for infection fatality rates based on, I'm not really sure what CIs means, median infection fatality rates in all elderly for all 14 individual countries was 5.5%, range 0.3% to 12.1%. In the two middle income countries, IFR in all elderly was 0.3% to 0.4%, and in 12 high income countries it was 6.8%, range 2.3% to 12.1%. Okay, so that's the highest risk age groups, right? So low income, medium income, it's really quite low. It's a little higher in the high income countries. It might have to do with people getting packed into nursing homes, so they have more contact with each other. And this study did also have a look at the younger age groups. Let's have a quick look here. Yeah, they shot observations, blah blah blah. Yeah, so yeah, they looked at 25. Yeah, observations from 1925 surveys. Okay, age stratum 25, 30, 35. Okay, and one sampled my under 65 years of age. There's 19 surveys from 11 countries for the age group 0 to 19 years. Only 5 studies had sampled participants for seroprevalence in the corresponding age group. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. So, across all countries, median IFR was 0.0027%, 0.014%, 0.031%, 0.082%, 0.27%, and 0.59%. That's 0 to 19, 20 to 29, 30 to 39, 40 to 49, 50 to 59, and 60 to 69 years old, using data from 9, 9, 10, 9, 11, and 6 countries respectively. Okay, so that's a mouthful. If I'm going to post all these sources, okay? I'm going to post all these sources once I finish the broadcast, okay? People can take a closer look at what the fuck I'm talking about, because I'm just I made some brief notes. I had some links handy for myself, so I'm no data scientist or anything like that. But you know, I'm a layman. But I think laymen can still wrap their heads around certain topics. They can. We have the Library of Alexandria at our fucking fingertips. Alexandria, yeah, and it's like okay, so you know they're looking at 0 to 19, 20 to 29, and so on. So it's like 0 to 19. The infection fatality rate they were looking at is 0.0027%. 20 to 29, it's 0.014%. 30 to 39, 0.031%, and so on. And even like 60 to 69 years is 0 to 59%. If I'm reading that right, and I believe I am, 60 to 69 years, infection fatality rate 0.59%. And that's like the age, starting to get to the age group that's most at risk. Okay. Now, let's have a look at some other stats. The Office for National Statistics in the UK recorded between... Well, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to sit in the fucking ticket menu while doing this. So let's see if we can't switch the game while still in broadcast. Okay.